If you hold XRP, Chainlink, Ethereum, Bitcoin, or even meme coins like Dogecoin, Floki, and any other altcoin in this space over the past 24 hours, actually within the past hour of making this video, we've seen a short-term dip in the market. So we have to talk about exactly what's taking place with Bitcoin seeing a sell-off right now. How much worse could it get? Are we going to go further to the downside? What does this mean for your favorite altcoins? And what do you need to do to prepare? So we talked about this in a previous video 3 days ago. And on top of that, Jerome Powell has completely been flipping the script. So now's not the time to panic. We need to calm down, quit twisting your nips here. I'm going to explain exactly what's happening on the charts that you do not want to miss. So get your coffee ready because today's going to be a great video. As always, comment 777 if you guys are feeling blessed, if you're feeling bullish, and if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So before we dive right in, I want to make sure you guys are plugged into our free Discord community. So under this video, you're going to click more and you're going to see Discord right here. Simply click this and simply accept the invite to join 34 members right now. So let's get this group over 10,000 members. I think we can do that within the next 30 days and it's free to join. So if you guys want to chat with other members in the community without having to filter through a bunch of spam comments here on YouTube, then the Discord group is the place to do it for free. So our goal is to turn you guys into hyper profitable traders inside this group, and we got some exciting stuff to come. So let's dive right into Bitcoin's price chart and let's talk about what's taking place on the 4-hour time frame, because Bitcoin has sold off from 124K, and even within the past hour, it's dropped from 117 to 110. It's looked like it's bouncing in the short term, but there is some weakness on Bitcoin's chart where the bears are in control right now. We saw a bearish divergence right here from the 14th of July to the 14th of August, where we formed a higher high in the price chart and the relative strength index formed a lower high. So that's not necessarily like a terrible thing. We want to look for a break in structure. And so right now, Bitcoin is attempting to break structure right here at this support. As you can see, this was support back here at the beginning of August. And it was also the resistance back here at the 22nd of May. So if Bitcoin breaks below this zone right here and comes back to back test it, then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Bitcoin's dominance. We're going to talk about total 2. We're going to talk about others and then altcoins and explain what that means. Because as we see this rotation right now happening from Bitcoin over to altcoins, we see Bitcoin's dominance breaking down as well too, just as expected. So this is, like I just said, not a time to panic. This is actually a time to get excited here because some of the top altcoins in the space are going to experience massive liquidity injections. And this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Now, for the Bitcoin holders, this is not the moment they've been waiting for because Bitcoin maxis only think that Bitcoin's the best thing out there. So they're completely delusional because they don't realize that there's better tech now that's created that's faster, that's cheaper. It's just far superior to Bitcoin, and that's unarguable. Like look at XRP. It's lightning quick compared to Bitcoin, and it's a lot cheaper. So to actually be used for payments, Bitcoin makes no sense. And just looking at the price chart as well too, what's Bitcoin going to do? Maybe another 2x from here for this bull run. Anything beyond that would just mean that altcoins are going to rally even harder. And so what I talked about in my video 3 days ago right here was a potential breakdown for Bitcoin to back test the previous high that we're pretty much at right now. And any further to the downside would be a back test of these highs right here at around $107,000 to $108,000. It's still possible for Bitcoin to come down within this range to find a low before working our way on out of here and eventually continuing higher. And it could potentially look something like this. I compared this back to the 2017 cycle for Bitcoin right here when we broke below the 50 moving average to backtest the previous high and then worked our way on out of here to continue higher. Bitcoin is just doing the same thing. We're below the 50 moving average right now. And similar to what happened right here, where we tried to hold on to the support, that's what we're trying to do right now. So we could potentially see flash liquidations or a little further of a sell-off. It's not going to look exactly like what I drawn on the chart right here, but it's very well possible for Bitcoin to do something like this to liquidate a lot of the long traders that have their stop losses set at these levels before we continue higher. So just err on the side of caution right here for Bitcoin because the relative strength index is at 42. We're not in oversold conditions at 30 or below 30 on the daily chart. And we're seeing a major breakdown in Bitcoin's dominance where we're free falling back down to these levels that we are at between November 2024 and January 2025. So as you guys already know, Jerome Powell at the Federal Reserve, who I've been covering in previous videos, no one likes this guy. Everyone wants to see him fired and gone and replaced. Trump doesn't like him. He's been so stubborn on lowering interest rates. And in his previous speech, he hinted that they're going to be lowering rates in September. And now Jerome Powell is talking favorably about crypto and specifically saying this about Bitcoin.
people use Bitcoin as a speculative asset, right? It's like gold. It's just like gold, only it's virtual, it's digital. People are not using it as a form of payment or as a store of value. It's highly volatile. It's not a competitor for the dollar. It's really a competitor for gold.
So by saying that Bitcoin is a volatile speculative asset and it's a competitor to gold, that's actually a compliment to Bitcoin, because you guys have seen what has happened to the price of gold. Ever since 2022, we rallied from $1,600 to over $3,300, and we're still in an uptrend for gold. So Bitcoin is really just following behind gold. So similar to what happened for gold during this phase right here, in my opinion, is what's happening for Bitcoin right here before we inevitably find a low and then work our way back into price discovery. So I don't think this bull run is over. And one of the main reasons why is because of what's happening with Bitcoin's dominance. We're still at 57%. Last bull run cycle, that was right around here in April, right before Bitcoin's dominance absolutely tanked and we saw altcoins explode. So if I pair this chart up here to Total 2's chart on the bottom of the screen, you can see what happened last time, like I explained in my previous videos right here, by February of 2021, when Total 2 started to break the all-time high. Bitcoin's dominance fell off of a shelf during the run-up to $1.4 trillion. Bitcoin's dominance dropped all the way down here to about 39 to 40%. We dropped from 60% to 40%. 20% of the dominance caused a rally of $478 billion to $1.5 trillion. So over $1 trillion came into the altcoin market in a matter of 84 days, less than 3 months. So the rallies can happen really, really quick and catch everybody off guard, and then they're left chasing the pumps. And that's what I think is coming for the altcoin market. So you just have to be ready, because look at what's happening right now. We're just barely breaking down on Bitcoin's dominance, similar to what happened right here before we absolutely fell off of a shelf. And so the last line of defense for Bitcoin's dominance was right around here at 57%. Where that would be in this time around is right around 54%, right around here, because that was support back here in December of 2024. Because until we break that low, we're still technically in an uptrend, even though we are breaking this ascending support right now. We need to break this horizontal support of 55%. So when we see Bitcoin's dominance closing on the weekly below 55%, that's incredibly bullish for altcoins. Now, in my opinion, I think it's going to happen relatively fast. 1 month to about 90 days is the time frame that it took last time around. So I just think history is going to repeat itself. Now, could I be wrong? Yes, but I look at the data and people have short attention spans. This was back in 2021. That was 4 years ago. A lot of new investors don't realize that this chart looks like it's a short time away because you're just looking at a computer screen or your phone right here, but this was 4 years. We're talking about over 1,600 days. Do you even remember what you ate for lunch a week ago? I definitely don't. And a lot of people get caught up here because they have to go through this boring, painful consolidation and accumulation phase during the bear market anger to depression stage before we eventually go into the disbelief stage, and then belief, hope, optimism, and then inevitably euphoria. So we're about to go into belief, optimism, euphoria stage here soon for altcoins. And the real question is just how high will that put us and how low will that put Bitcoin's dominance? And how fast will it happen? Because looking at others' chart, we're actually holding up really, really well above $300 billion in this rounded bottom formation that I covered in my video 3 days ago on how we broke this neckline. We're just holding on top of the neckline, getting ready to catch up to Total 2, which is already back at its previous high that it was at here in December of 2024. And if we look at others' chart, you can see that others is still down here. We're well off from the previous high of December of about $130 to $150 billion. So I think the further that Bitcoin's dominance drops, we're going to see an aggressive move for everything outside the top 10, because right now Ethereum is absorbing a large chunk of that liquidity. So everyone is just watching Ethereum lead the race right here, as it basically holds the torch to the Olympic Games of altcoin Olympics here. And then a little bit later in the games, we're going to get to the retarded Olympics, where we're going to see the small cap projects fly and virtually everything going parabolic. They're like $1 million to $100 million market cap. So we're just watching, we're seeing where Ethereum is going to eventually top out before it cools off for a little bit and gives breathing room for these other altcoins to run. And one of those altcoins would be XRP. Now, I talked about XRP in my video 3 days ago where I broke down this structure right here in this falling wedge, where a likely scenario for XRP was to fall back down to this support all the way over here and then eventually break from this descending resistance, experience a little sell-off before continuing higher. And what do you know? It's exactly what's happening right now. We saw XRP break to the downside and wick off of this zone of support that it was at all the way back here in the beginning of August. And then it broke this descending resistance. Sure enough, we just don't know how high the breakout is. Like in my example that I drew, Of course, it's not going to be to the T and 100% accurate, but you can see how pretty close that was on this breakout, where it broke the descending resistance, and now we're consolidating here, getting ready for another major move. So the real question is, will XRP just break out from here and continue higher as Bitcoin's dominance sells off right now to the downside? Well, not necessarily because of liquidity traps. And I explain the liquidity trap and the stop hunt in my previous video as well too, and what that looks like. You guys can check that video out right here. It was uploaded 4 days ago, and I broke this down on Ethereum's price chart and how to trade these liquidity traps. After we identify the trend, look for a bullish or bearish divergence, wait for a breakout and confirmation on the price chart. A lot of people enter into the trades on the back test of a key support, but the challenge with that is right now, as you can see, XRP is on top of a previous resistance right here as support. This is a textbook setup here. So normally people would long XRP right here. They'd set their stop loss somewhere at like $2.96, expecting XRP to go higher. And then they set their take profit somewhere up within these levels at the top of the falling wedge, right? Pretty standard. Now here's the problem with this. They don't realize how manipulated XRP is from market makers. They want to flush out a lot of these leverage traders so they don't have to pay out the profits on these exchanges. And it's very similar to what I explained on Ethereum's chart right here, where you want to wait for these liquidity flushes before you enter, and you can even get a better deal and have a better risk to reward ratio. Because right now, if I just clear this chart so you can see what I'm looking at right here and draw just a simple zone of support where you can see the neckline right here that XRP got rejected from before selling off to the downside. We just broke that neckline, and look at this. We back tested it once, twice, and we also broke this downtrend right here. So does that mean you enter into a long? Well, if you were to enter into a long position right now, and let's say you put your stop loss, like I just mentioned, right here, just below this wick right here, and you just put it at, let's say, $2.95-ish, and you could even have a 1-to-4 risk to reward ratio because you put it back here at the top of this falling wedge, just right below the previous highs of $3.34. So let's say we put it at $3.30. This is what a typical trade would do. Now, here's the challenge with this, and the reason why I say you want to be careful here, because as XRP ranges through these levels, what we tend to see is liquidity flushes like this, and it gets quickly bought up, stopping you out below your stop loss, and then continuing higher to inevitably hit your take profit. So we want to set some price alerts a little bit lower in case something like this does happen, to get a better entry point, like what happened all the way back here when XRP was rallying up. People are entering into long positions because we're back testing these previous zones right here as support. So had you have just looked at the price chart like this, it looks extremely bullish, right? Because like I just mentioned, we broke a downtrend right here. You can see XRP was right below resistance until it broke above it, came back down to back test it once, twice. A lot of people would enter in long right about here. And then here's the problem. Look at that. It sweeps everybody out down here, comes back down to levels a little bit lower, and then works its way through here to inevitably break out higher back to the top of this level right here. So it would have hit their take profit, but they got stopped out because they weren't patient enough. So that's what we're looking for on XRP's price chart right here. Now, it could take a couple days to play out. I'd be cautious because as we go into Monday, anything can happen. But this is actually a really, really good sign that XRP is getting ready to experience a massive move to $3.30 here soon, after we liquidate a lot of long traders down here. So where I would want to look to enter in is after we see this liquidity flush and XRP attempt to break out again. So for example, you essentially wait for this formation to take place, and you wait for this break in this back test right here before you enter long. You could do something like that, because this breakout right here was really just a false breakout to flush out these traders, come back into this resistance again, get rejected another time, then inevitably break out, one final back test right here, and then explosion to the upside. So the smartest traders, they look for stuff like this to take place. They don't enter in up here on these breakouts, and they don't try and catch a falling knife on the way down here, because in real time, you don't know if this is the bottom, you don't know if this is the bottom, you don't know if this is the bottom. So you have to wait for these reversals, breakouts, back tests, stop hunts, then a double confirmation of another breakout and a back test sometimes. So each time it's going to look a little bit different, but nonetheless, what I'm waiting for is a stop hunt here, liquidity flush, and depending on how quick it gets bought up, it can be a V-shaped recovery, or it could take a little bit longer to recover, doing something like this before we eventually break back above, do a secondary back test, then continuation higher. Something like this. And I will replay this video like I've been doing ever since the past to show you guys how these types of breakouts play out on the chart time and time again. So some projects I'm extremely bullish on as Bitcoin's dominance drop, other than XRP, one of which would be Chainlink. You can see some incredible strength in Chainlink ever since the 23rd of June, breaking out from 11 cents to about $11 to $26 right now. So this is the main neckline for Chainlink to watch right here, upwards of around $30. Now, once Chainlink clears $30, the only real resistance for Chainlink is really pretty much the all-time high, because as you can see, there's not a lot of price action up between 30 and 50 bucks because the markets really just went parabolic during that phase and also had these candle body closes up here above 30 bucks, and it was for a very short period of time, really. It was like for 28 days, less than a month during the all-time high. And even on this candle body close, it was pretty much, what, 1 week? Yeah, 7 days. And then the price dropped back down to $40, then closed and dropped all the way back down to $14, dropping 72% 2 weeks after the all-time high. So once the all-time high comes in, it's really difficult to get out. But once we see that break happen, we see it happen very, very fast, like what happens here. And it's aggressive. These pumps are very volatile and they happen really quick. So that's what's happening for Chainlink right now. We're building up momentum here before we inevitably spring back to the all-time high. So I think a 2x for Chainlink is pretty reasonable here. Ultimately, I think in the long term for Chainlink, depending on how aggressive this next move is for Chainlink after Ethereum cools off for a little bit, but if we see some type of cup and handle formation with Chainlink, if I just take the depth of the previous high to the low and put it to the breakout point, which would be the high, that's roughly around $100 for Chainlink. I definitely think that's possible by the end of this bull run in Q4 this year or January of 2026. And if I take the Fibonacci extension tool from the high to the low, a 1.618 would be roughly $83. So I think we'd go a little bit above that, top out somewhere near $100 to maybe $130 for Chainlink. Anything beyond that, well, 3.618 is $180 and a full extension is $200. So it's possible for Chainlink to hit $200, but that's about a 9 to a 10x from where we're at this stage in the market cycle. I think that'd be a really aggressive move for Chainlink. But I'm not counting on $200, but long term, I think Chainlink's going to $1,000 by 2030. Because it's pretty much the oracle of the crypto industry and all the top companies are using Chainlink. So it's a no-brainer in any smart investor's portfolio. So I don't expect too much resistance at these levels, depending on if we see aggressive pullback from Ethereum. The next resistance would really be like roughly $38 to $50, somewhere around here. Because as you can see, like this last resistance on the 11th of March, Chainlink broke right through it and then came back down below it. So I could see something like this happen for Chainlink where we aggressively blast through $30 to come up somewhere back to these levels over here before we see some type of short-term consolidation. So you want to be careful. You don't want to be FOMOing in when Chainlink is upwards of 30 or $40 here, trying to catch the last little pump because we don't know how high this breakout is in this pullback. As you can see, Chainlink is known to make these aggressive moves and also these aggressive pullbacks too when it's time to consolidate. Because each of these moves happen really, really fast. Look at this move right here. This happened in a matter of 35 days, about 1 month, and then the consolidation phase, 189 days, and we're still in it right now. This move right here for Chainlink was about 21 days, and then it cooled off for about 84 days. Then a matter of 14 days, inevitably 49 days, rallied up another 60%, and then it took about 245 days before pumping again. And so what we're doing is pretty much the exact same thing right now. You can see from this high, Chainlink sold off and consolidated for 189 days, and even until this recent move, it's like 238 days before we saw this breakout right here on the 4th of August. So right now we're about 14 days in. So I would expect there to be another couple weeks of price action to the upside for Chainlink coming back to this previous complacency stage high or potentially even higher than that, leading us into the September FOMC meeting. And also I would expect something like Dogecoin to pump. Now, when Dogecoin starts to pump, there's going to be other meme coins that are going to start to break out as well too, because Dogecoin is sitting still at 23 cents right now, and it's just doing what it did all the way back here during this sell-off in this consolidation phase between the 25th of March until the 14th of October for 203 days. So Dogecoin has been selling off for 196 days, and we are currently 259 days still below that previous high. Dogecoin is due for a rally because we just don't go down forever. We inevitably will see a breakout here, and it's going to be aggressive. It's going to be violent, and I'm going to replay this video just like I've been doing in every video from the past, and you're going to see what's about to happen here, because right now, just looking at Dogecoin's chart, we can see this neckline right here. We're right at the neckline, just barely below it, between 23 to 25 cents that Dogecoin got rejected from right here on the 5th of May to the 19th of May and couldn't break above it. This neckline could even extend a little bit higher with these candle wicks, and as you can see, it acted as support for this wick right here. We consolidated just on top of it before breaking to the downside in this A, B, C corrective wave to the bottom. And now we're just going through a disbelief rally on a more micro time frame. But looking at the weekly chart, this is absolutely incredible here, because when Dogecoin eventually breaks back above this neckline again, it might not even backtest it. We're going to see a violent and aggressive move to the upside, very similar to what we saw happen right here. And where will that put Dogecoin? Well, inevitably, I think that's going to put it back up here at least to 50 cents, to about 57 cents, maybe a little bit higher. Maybe we do something like this, then we see an aggressive backtest right here when Dogecoin finally starts to break out. And this is going to be like the tail end of the bull run, right? It's going to happen really quick, because look at what happened in the tail end of the bull run right here. From the 12th of April to the 19th of April, in 7 days, Dogecoin rallied 600%. Then we saw the short-term sell-off right here, and then inevitably another 14 days rallied another 300%. So that's over the course of a month. And so during the last pump in the market for these altcoins, when Dogecoin starts to go parabolic like this, watch. I'm going to pair this up to Bitcoin's dominance price chart, and you're going to see what to look for yourself. So if I'm not putting a video out, you guys can be prepared for this. Because right here, after the 29th of March, when we saw 1, 2, 3 massive bullish green candles in a row for Dogecoin, well, let's pair this up to Bitcoin's dominance chart. What happened? Well, that was when Bitcoin's dominance was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red candles in a row. So that liquidity flowed out of Bitcoin, and it flowed into a lot of the top altcoins. And so this happens really fast. I mean, this was a matter of 35 days. So Bitcoin's dominance can do what it's going to do for the entire bull run for 3 years, and then in a matter of 1 month, just absolutely get obliterated and all the liquidity flow down chain into these other altcoins. And so why would it be any different this time around? We're starting to see this breakdown happen for Bitcoin's dominance right here. And over the course of 30 days, like even if Bitcoin's dominance bounces right now and consolidates, eventually there will be a breakdown, and it'll happen really quick as we get closer and closer to November and December this year. And when that takes place, that, in my opinion, is when we're going to see these aggressive moves to the upside for all of these top altcoins, like Dogecoin, like Chainlink, and even for other large cap meme coins, one of them being Floki as well too. Because look at Floki's chart. It's looking just like Dogecoin's. I mean, this is textbook. We just flipped this neckline right here, and we're attempting to hold it as support. Now we could go a little bit below it, like I said, liquidity flush before we reclaim it and then break out higher. But this is a textbook double bottom trend reversal right here. You can see bottom number 1, a higher low for bottom number 2. We cleared the neckline. We're coming back down to back test it as support. This was the neckline that was support also 8th of April 2024, the 5th of August 2024, the 4th of November 2024. We broke down below it, found a bottom, got rejected from it, building a higher low as a base. And now inevitably, even if we see a liquidity flush, I think this would just be a higher low than the low of the 16th of June for us to bounce off of it, reclaim this, and then explode back to the upside to come back to these levels that we're at all the way right up here. So again, not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy Dogecoin. I'm not telling you to buy Floki. I'm not telling you to buy XRP, Chainlink, Ethereum, any altcoin, because this is all purely speculation, information, educational purposes only. But a move from where we're at right now back to this previous candle body close, not even considering the wicks, is about 143%. That's over a 2x for Floki. For Dogecoin to get back to this high of December, it's about 98 to 100%. So if Dogecoin is doing a 2x from here, I think something like Floki has the potential to actually appreciate even more than Dogecoin, because as you can see right here, we haven't really experienced a true cycle for Floki yet. And so I think just going back to this previous high is actually really conservative. I think we can do much more beyond that before we go into the next bear market, leading us into 2026. So no guarantees there, but when you just look at market cap, it takes significantly less liquidity to move something like Floki versus a Dogecoin, because Dogecoin's $35 billion. Even Shiba Inu's $7.6 billion. Pepe's $4.6 billion. And Floki's right under $1 billion. So it's still a large cap, but it's ranked number 78. And this chart is absolutely incredible right now. We're getting ready for wave number 5 in this micro Elliott wave. This was wave 1, sell off wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 right now, and then wave 5 is this next push up. And this would be when, coincidentally enough, others finally catches up to total 2, because this is everything outside of the top 10. So, like I just mentioned, $150 billion is going to flow into these other projects, and Floki will absorb a good chunk of that. I think Floki will absorb a few billion of it. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but so far I've been pretty right thus far this bull run about what's happening. On the macro time frames, the real question is the micro ones with these aggressive predictions right here on a day-to-day basis. I am putting my neck out there on a chopping block for people to say, you're wrong, but I'm okay with that because I understand that you can't be right all the time. Every trading strategy has a win-to-loss ratio. I just want to properly prepare you guys so you don't get wrecked for these types of moves like this and completely sideline yourself, getting liquidated for everything, and then watching the markets move in the direction you originally thought was going to happen, but you were just a little too early on these moves and not having a little bit of patience to wait for it to play out a little bit longer before you enter into long positions with tighter stop losses here. Because, for example, had you have entered into this back test right here for XRP at $3.01, it would have been the same price point as you entering right here on this back test, but you're being a little more patient, so you have further confirmation that this trend reversal is actually real and it's not just a fake out for us to just come all the way back down and form a lower low. And so that way you can set tighter stop losses at better levels. And so if you set a stop loss, for example, right here at $2.89, $2.90, just right below this low, and you put a risk to reward ratio of 1 to 2, even if you went as aggressive as 1 to 3, it would have hit your take profit just right to the T right there. So 1 to 2 is playing it safe. Anything above that is aggressive. But as you can see, entering in right here, the price moved aggressively in the direction that you wanted. But had you entered here, you would have been faked out and then stopped out, putting your stop loss right here, and then it would have moved in the direction that you wanted. So for XRP right now, it's really just the same thing. This could be a fake out. We come back up in here, back test, and then breakout right here. And so what I want to look for is if this fake out happens and then we see this next breakout, I set my stop loss right below the low of where that liquidity flush is. And that would be right about here. So I just gave you guys the game to make as much money as you possibly can this bull run cycle, looking at these breakout patterns like this. And I'll continue to do that when you subscribe to the channel, you like this video, and you stay tuned for the next one. If you want to see what other altcoins our research team is extremely bullish on when others finally does make that move back to the previous all-time high, then you're going to want to plug into Altcoin Pro University because these guys are even smarter than me. For example, our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1, 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University through the link below. And although we make no guarantees because crypto is definitely risky, guys, this is only $97 a month or $970 a year. If you want to save $194, getting 2 months for free and unlock some exclusive bonuses, just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers to help you become the first millionaire in your family tree, if that's a goal of yours. And you can get started through the link in the description below right now, or you can go to bullrunners.com to take advantage of the bonuses we're giving you before they expire. Everyone is loving the community. They're loving the education. They're getting access to real-time altcoin picks first before we ever make videos about them. So click the link in the description below, watch the video, and I'll see you on the inside.